Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is the 68th tutorial in this course, and in this tutorial we are going to learn to build a sign up page in PHP, and also we're going to learn how to have the backend ready for collecting the information that people supply on the sign up page. So, before I discuss the scripts that we're going to use in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how the sign up page is actually going to look. So this is how the page is going to look, and this is something that you must have seen somewhere, I'm sure. Whether you're signing up on Facebook or on Gmail, you are usually asked to provide all this information. So sites usually require you to tell them your first name, your last name, your email address, your date of birth, and this is usually to verify whether you are 18 years old or not. And then they ask you for your gender, and then they ask you to type in a password, and then there is also a retype password field, which just makes sure that the password that you've entered in your password field is what you actually want to enter. So in case there's a mismatch here, then they tell you that the passwords didn't match, and they ask you to type in your passwords again. So this is how the page is going to look. Now I've got two scripts. The first one is not actually a script. It's just an HTML file which is going to result into that sign up page that you just saw. And it's long, it's really long, but trust me, it's very simple. And I'm not going to discuss the HTML in too much detail, because if I start discussing each and every tag that I've used in this file, then this tutorial would probably be half an hour long, and I don't want that. So in case you want to know more about forms, then you can check out my playlist on HTML tutorials, or you could just Google up the tags that are unfamiliar to you in this file. You could just Google them up, and you could learn more about them. But trust me, this file is really simple, and I'm going to discuss most of the things in this file. So I've got my opening HTML tag on line 1, and then way down below on line number 97 I have the closing HTML tag. So it's a long file, and the reason is we've got all these options here. So if I would show you the sign up page, then you could see that for date of birth I have 5 options from 1985 to 1989, and then for the month field I have options from 1 to 12. Then for the day field I have options from 1 to 30, I guess. Yeah, 1 to 30. So this particular field, in fact, is causing the script to be long, but otherwise it would have been a short file, trust me. So after the opening HTML tag, I have the head section, which has the title tag, and I have the text sign up page in here, and this is going to result into this, the text that you see at the top of the bar in your browser, sign up page. So this is where it comes from. And then inside the body section, I have all of this in a table. I have all these fields in a table. In fact, the reason why you can't see the borders is because I have initialized the border attribute of the table tag to 0 pixel. So if I would change this to 1 pixel, let me save the file and refresh this for you. So you would see that all of this is actually in a table, and this clearly looks ugly. So I'm going to change this back to 0 pixel, and have I saved the file? Oh yes, I have, and I'll go and refresh this. So this is actually much more neat. So we're going to work with this, and then I have the form tag on line number 7, and the action attribute in this tag is actually going to be the URL of the page where I want all of this information to be sent. The information that we collect from the users when they click on the submit button on the sign up page. So I want that information to be sent to this script, which is signup_destination.php, and I have that opened up here in my text editor as well. So this is also a long script, and we're going to go through this too in this tutorial. And the method that we're going to use to send the information is the post method. So then inside the table, I have all the fields in separate rows. So first name is the first field, and it's of type text, and the name of this field is first underscore name. So this is very important. You should remember the names that you use for the fields in your forms. And then the last name field has the name last underscore name. It's also of the type text. The email field is also a text field, and that has the name email. And then the date of birth field actually has three different fields, for three different values that you can select here: one for year, one for month, and one for day. And they have been named year, month, and day respectively. So for year you have all these options, from year to 1989. For month you have options from 1 to 12, and for the day field you have options from 1 to 30, right? And then I have a field for gender, and I have two radio buttons for it, one to select male and one to select female. And it's very important to name both these these radio buttons as gender. You cannot have separate names for both these buttons. You need to have the same name, but you can have different values. So the first button has the value male, the second button has the value female, and correspondingly you are seeing the text male and female here. And then I have password and retype password fields. And the password field is of type password, the retype field is also of type password. And the reason why I don't have these fields as text fields is because you don't want people who are sitting around you while you are signing up on a website to see what your password is. So if you use the password field, then the characters are bullet characters and people can't read the text that you're typing in. So it's very important to have your password fields as password type, right? And then finally I have the submit button, which has the name submit, and it also has the value submit. That's the text that you see on the button. And if all goes well, if people type in all the information correctly, then they would land up on this page, wherein I have first initialized some variables. So the host name is localhost, the username is root. In this case it's not something else, and the password for this account is nothing. So if you're using WAMP on Windows, then the root account doesn't have any password. So you could just have a pair of double quotes here, and that would do. If you're using MAMP on Mac, then you would probably be having some password for your root account, which the software asks you to type in while you're configuring it, when you're installing MAMP. And just type in your password here. That's one change that you would have to make. And then the database with which we're going to work is going to be my site. It's no longer student, so please make a note of this. And we actually have to create a table. So before we collect information from users and put the information in the database, we need to first create a table in which we can put in the information. So I have used the my site database here. As you can see, in the schemas section, I have the my site database here, and I have created a table called user. And this table has all these fields in it. So the ID field is going to be the primary key for the table. It's going to be of integer type, and it also has the auto increment filter on it. And primary key is the constraint. So you should usually have some field in your table that can have the constraint primary key applied on it, right? So in this case, since there can be people who have the same name, we cannot have first as the primary key, or last as the primary key, or email as the primary key, because people could also have same email addresses, although that's unlikely. But date of birth, definitely people can have the same date of birth, and gender of course, and password also, people could have the same password. But you need to have some field that is definitely going to have a different value for each row or each record, and that's why I have the ID field here. And you could actually remove this from the table and your script would work just the same. But just to ensure that my table is proper, I have this ID field here. And first, last, email, gender, and pass, all these are varchar fields. And the maximum character limit for first and last is 30 characters. For gender and pass, it's 10 and 20 respectively. For email, it's 50 characters, and DOB field is of date type, right? So this is going to take in values in the MySQL date format, which is year slash month slash day, if I'm not wrong. And let's get back to the script now. So in the script, we are going to connect to the database first, and we do that using the mysqli_connect function. So it takes in 4 arguments: the host name, the username, the password for the user, and the database name. And I have all this information in these 4 variables, so I'm just going to type in the variable names here, and then I'm going to use an if statement to check whether the connection was established successfully or not. And if it wasn't established successfully, then this is what we would execute. We would execute the die function, display the message connection failed, and also show the corresponding error that we get from MySQL. Right? And then if all goes well, if we manage to connect to the database successfully, then we will get inside this block. On line number 12 I have another HTML tag, and then the head section for the page, which shows sign up page, and then on line number 17 I have opening PHP tag. So I'm first going to check whether the submit button was clicked to land up on this page or not, right? And if it was clicked, and if the data was sent to us in a legitimate way, then we would move further with the script. Otherwise, we are just going to get to this else statement and display the message form not submitted properly. So let me just get this straight first. So if I would open a tab and type in localhost slash signup underscore destination.php, which is the name of this file, I would see the message form not submitted properly, and that's because we haven't clicked on the submit button here. So this information has to be put in, and then if you click on the submit button, then the information would be transferred to this file, signup underscore destination. But if you would try to access this page without putting in anything here, then this is the message that you would see: form not submitted successfully, right? And in this file, I am first copying all the information that I got from the users to variables that are going to be local to the script, right? So the first name that was provided to us, we are going to copy that to the variable first. The last name that was provided to us, we are going to copy that to the variable last. Email to email, year to year, month to month, gender to gender. So similarly, we are going to obtain all values, and password, whatever password was typed in, we are going to copy that to the field pass, and then day, we're going to copy to day. The month and years, we've copied in year and month, and using month, year and day, we're going to generate the date of birth for the person. And as I said, the DOB field in the table that I've created here, the user table, is of date type. So the field will take in values that are consistent with the date format for MySQL. And as I said, that format is year/month/day. So we have to first create the date of birth field using the year, month, and day values. And the way we do that is by typing in $year, which is the name of the year variable, followed by the concatenation operator, and then you need a slash. So this is actually a string of 1 character. Then again the concatenation operator, the month field, then again concatenation, slash, and then concatenation, and the value that you have in your day field. And we are also generating the full name of the person. So name equals first, last, and this actually has no role to play, but if suppose there was just one field in your table called name, and if you just wanted to store in the full name of the person, then you would probably pass in this to the table, but we're going to pass in first and last separately, right? So next, we're going to check whether any of these fields were left blank. So, and of course, I've passed in the value that we got in the repass field to the variable repass, right? So first, we're going to check whether any of these fields were left blank. And there are a lot of websites that have a constraint on the fields. Some fields are required. So if you also want to have some required field in your form, then you would use the empty function on the field to check whether when the user submitted the form, the user did have some character for that field or not. And it's very simple. You have your if statement, and within the if statement, you check with the empty function, whether any of the fields were left blank or not. So you have empty first, or empty last, or empty email. So if any of the fields were empty, then you would see the message, oops, can't leave any field blank. and let's check if this is working. So I'll just type in select some button here, because otherwise I'll get another weird error. If I click on the submit button, I see the error message, oops, can't leave any field blank. And let's get back to the form and also back to the script. So the next thing that you would want to do is check whether the value that was typed in the retype password field matches the value that was typed in the password field. And if the values didn't match, then you would want to show the message echo passwords didn't match, please try again. And if that wasn't the case, then you are actually ready to pass in all the information that you've collected and stored in all these local variables to your database, right? And specifically to the table user. So the SQL to do that is very simple. On line number 43, I have created a variable called SQL, and it has a very simple query string in it. Insert into the name of the table, which is user, and then you have to type in all the fields in which you want to put in your values: first, last, email, DOB, gender, and pass. And values first, so you have to type in your variable names here in the values section. So first, last, email, DOB, gender, and pass, corresponding to all these fields, right? And then you would use the MySQL _query function to execute this query. It takes in two arguments, the connection variable and the SQL variable that you've just created here. And the results of the query would be stored in the res variable. And if the query wasn't executed successfully, then you would display the message query failed. You would stop the execution of the script right there, and also display the corresponding error from MySQL. And if the query was executed successfully, then you would just show the message data inserted successfully. And this is usually not done. Usually when you sign up for a page, you see something else like welcome to our website, and you see a lot more fancy HTML and CSS. But since we just want to keep things simple and understand how to actually create a sign up page, we're just going to display the message data inserted successfully. So I would go back here and type in some values. Maybe I'll type in values for myself. So Madhur, and then Bhatia, email address is madhurbhatia89@gmail.com, and year 1989, and month is 11, and 20 for day, mail, and let me just type in my name in the password field. Anyway, you can't see it, right, because we are seeing bullet characters here. And when I click on the submit button, I see the message data inserted successfully. And if I actually go to my workbench and see the data that I have in this table, I can see by executing the select query. So select star from the name of the table is user, and when I execute it, I see a row for myself. So my ID is 1, my first name is Madhur, last name is Bhatia, this is my email address, this is my date of birth. This is, if I just hover over it, then I can read the entire thing, 1989, 11/20. This is my gender, and this is my password, right? Now let's try to mess with this form. First thing that we can do is type in everything else. So let's say McAdams. I'm going to leave the first name field blank, and something for the email address. So mj@gmail.com, and some random values. I'm just going to pick some numbers, and then mail, and then password. Okay, hat and hat. So when I click on submit, I see the message, oops, can't leave any field blank, right? So at least the empty functions are working correctly. Now let's type in everything, and just make sure that we don't type in the same value for password and retype password fields. So Alex, McAdams, and then email could be alex@gmail.com, and year 1987, June 6th, and then mail, and then let's type in Alex here, and then let's type in McAdams here, right? When I click on the submit button, I see the error, passwords didn't match, please try again. So everything is working correctly with the sign up page. There are a lot of things that you could do with this. So firstly, you could apply, some constraints on the password field. You could just display some text here that your password needs to be at least 8 characters long, and it needs to have some special characters. And correspondingly, in your script file, you could, include those checks by using string functions, right? That's something that we've already discussed in this course. How to check whether there are some special characters in your strings or not, whether your strings are blank or not. That of course you do using the empty function. So, in case you have any doubt regarding this script, you could just post in your comments, and I'll try to reply to as many of them as soon as possible. And if you don't understand the HTML that I used, then, as I said, you could just Google it up, and there are a lot of interesting text tutorials on W3C School's website, so, you could follow those. Otherwise, of course, you could watch my tutorials on HTML. There are 28 tutorials in the playlist in which I've discussed each and everything about HTML, so from basic tags like HTML, or the body section, or the paragraph tags, to how you can control formatting, fonts and alignment, and, forms, each and everything I have discussed, right? So it's a crash course actually, and it won't take you more than 2 hours to get through it completely. And as far as the PHP is concerned, there's nothing that we've done in this script that we already haven't discussed before. And still, in case you have any doubt, you could email me, or you could just post your comment here, and I would reply as soon as possible. So I hope you guys had fun watching this tutorial. You may subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'm going to see you in the next video. Till then, take care.